Hello everyone, and welcome to Channel Business Podcast with Hanne. Channel Business Podcast is all about sharing ideas, insights, and valuable tips from leaders around the world who have been rising through the struggles to where they are now.
You become self-aware and just say, why am I feeling like this right now? It's because I have negative thoughts. As soon as you go back in there and get the negative ones out like an intruder in your house and put in the positive ones, immediately on the spot, you have new empowering beliefs. And that changes your whole state frequency and vibe, as they like to say.
The podcast episodes will teach you about different things, what you can take in your daily life as a leader, to take things forward from one step to another. We will talk about all facets of life. What are the essential steps for you to take the business forward? I'm your Channel Business Podcast host, Hanne Nuutinen, a global business influencer, taking you to this growth ride of Channel Business episodes. Today, we are diving into mindset. And our special guest today is Mr. Craig Siegel from New York, US. Craig Siegel is born and raised New Yorker, passionate about transformation and to cultivate that edge that lasts forever. He felt guided and left his lucrative and stable job on Wall Street and went all in with his passion and purpose to help people. Nowadays, he dedicates his efforts and time to empower people by revamping their entire mindset to shine the light you are and find the courage in yourself. He really pushes people to be the best possible versions of themselves and who they can become. Craig is high energy keynote speaker, performance coach, online brand explorer, and a host of the record-breaking podcast, The CLS Experience. He's been said to be a young rising thought leader who has already been featured in some most wanted and appreciated business magazines in the United States, like Entrepreneur. He's been endorsed by some of the world's most well-known celebrities in the US, such as Rob Dyrdek at Mylett, Bethany Hamilton, Susan Summers, and NFL Hall of Fame Brian Dawkins. Craig's unique combination of energy, motivation, inspiration has led his cultivated lasting symphony to a contagious, never-before-seen explosion that has an aim to impact millions of lives worldwide. So it's my honor and a great pleasure to introduce Craig Siegel and have you, my friend, here in the podcast to talk about the power of mindset when transforming your life. So welcome, dear.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much. Usually I'm the one handing them out. So it's nice to be on the receiving end for a change. So much love and respect for you. We go way back. Every single time that you and I get together, it's fun and it's magical. Thank you for having me. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. I'm really, really happy and thrilled to have you here on the show and talk about this mindset, because it is so truly important to have the right kind of mindset when you are doing business and when you are channeling that forward to do the things beyond impossible. So let's dive in. I wish to know first, and let the audience know, what are you committed to and inspired to create in your life?
So the mindset will either make you or break you, right? It'll take you to the highest of highs or it'll cripple you to the lowest of lows. The mindset is literally everything in business, in relationships, self-worth, fitness, you name it. And I realized that about 11 years ago when I got to Wall Street out of college. I also simultaneously stumbled upon personal development, and my mind was just blown. I was absolutely blown away with the simple fact that where I'm at right now is not an indication of where I can be or who I can become. I can alter my perception, my perspective. I could change my map of the world. I could associate what pain and pleasure do into different areas. And ultimately, wow, I could develop confidence and stuff of this nature that I wasn't necessarily born with. And so I was absolutely blown away with the fact that you could reprogram your mind. And obviously, the most important thing is just becoming self-aware of your thoughts. What I think most people don't realize is that 75% of the thoughts that we accumulate over the course of the day are negative. So the greats or the legends, Hanne, are the ones that are able to block out that interference. And then when they're feeling a little off, just say thank you to the universe. It's feedback. and then go in and replace the disempowering thoughts with positive, constructive, and productive ones, which ultimately create new beliefs and create new results. And this blew me away. And I've been
It just
going down the
blew me
rabbit hole ever
away. I'm
since.
just going to fall off my chair now already.
You
What
get
are
me
the great
energized.
words? Oh my gosh. There's so much in those words.
You always get me
Unbelievable.
energized.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. And thank you for those words. How did you find that? Like you mentioned that 11 years ago you found NLP and then that made a transformation. But how did you come into the NLP? Like what was
I
beyond that?
literally, so I was on Wall Street and I was learning about myself as a human being, and I wanted to improve and get better. And I was probably on the internet and I stumbled upon some inspirational videos, probably Tony Robbins and stuff like that. And then somewhere along the lines, I ended up on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And at that time, I just became obsessed with working on myself. Look, it's one thing to be physically fit for the audience listening, but trust me when I tell you, it's much more impactful to be mentally fit. And so I seeked out a mentor in Manhattan, and I started working with him. And he showed me the way in regards to how to reprogram my mindset and control my thoughts and my brain.
Oh my gosh. Such a big impact from that person, but it also sounded like, as you said, that you felt something that wasn't complete in your life and you were missing about something, and then you went to search and then you find all these NLP and mentors and all that. But what would you describe yourself? How would you do that? Like, if you say 3 words that describe you now, today.
3 words to describe myself?
Yes. I have many words for you, but I want you to say something from
Passionate, grateful, and weird.
Oh yes, you are all of those. I can. You can highlight all of those, but in a good way. In a good way.
Full disclosure, I'm probably one of the weirdest and strangest cats you'll ever come across, and I used to think that was a bad thing. And until I stepped into CLS, and I promised myself that take it or leave it, I would be my truest, authentic self. And I understood that I might not be everybody's cup of tea or glass of whiskey, but I will be me. And the irony is the weirder and more strange I am, the bigger and more strong connection I'm able to form with the community and the audience.
Oh yes. That is so true. And like you said at the beginning, we've known each other for some time. And you've also helped me to transform myself to the next phase. And from all of these experiences that I've been able to watch you and go along with you at the beginning of your CLS journey. It's been wonderful to see that change in you, but also to see the change in the people that you've coached, because I've also got to know some of those people and I cooperate with some of those people nowadays. So it really is everything what you said, the building a community and giving the passion to people who you work with. So tell me a little bit more, and to the audience, like something that the most of the people who know you, who work with you, that they don't know about you, something a bit weird or funny.
So what I think might surprise the audience a great deal is that I'm actually shy and an introvert. And people, when I tell people that recently, they're like, come on, like they think I'm just messing around. But the truth of the matter is by nature, I was always shy and a little bit introverted and so forth. But when I put together the idea for CLS and I stepped into my power to fulfill my destiny and my calling, I realized that in order to make the biggest impact possible on the world and contribute, then I would have to be in front of people and showing up each and every single day. And so now I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable. I show up each and every single day, and this genuinely is the new me. But in the beginning, there was a bit of a transformation to kind of step up and show up each and every single day, especially on social media, where a little over a year ago, I had 300 Instagram followers. I had no presence or anything like that. So I think that surprises people when I tell them that by nature, I'm actually shy and a little bit more introverted, but not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore. Definitely not. That sense, what would you say to your younger self that you knew a bit earlier than you do now?
What I would say, two things to my younger self. I'd say, number one, each and every single one of us have gifts. We have a dream in our heart. So when you start hearing the voice to that dream, raise the volume, listen to that dream, follow it, explore it, see where it takes you. For so long, I had felt guided and I was trying to find myself, and I knew I was meant for more than the Wall Street stuff and stuff like that. But I didn't give myself an opportunity to really listen to that voice. The other thing I would suggest, and I don't have any regrets in life because I believe everything happens for a reason, the way it's supposed to, when it's supposed to. For example, I couldn't have started CLS 2 years ago, wouldn't have worked. Everything had to happen the way it did. But if I had to choose one regret, it would be this, that I didn't seek out mentorship and support earlier on. Because the truth of the matter is we can't do everything ourselves. Mentors are there to help you. I don't want to say cut the line, but get to where you want to go a little bit quicker, to remove some of the potential obstacles. As our mutual friend Dave Meltzer likes to say, remove some of the dummy taxes.
Exactly.
It's only an advantage to align yourself with people that are more experienced, just so they can give you a little bit more of a different perspective and guide you. So those two things, listen to the dream in your voice and seek out mentorship.
Those are really, really good advices. And I would actually say the same things, that just go when you find something interesting, or when you find that something is not fulfilling you, just go and seek for that as soon as possible, because it may take you a day or it may take you 10 years to find it, but the sooner the better. But never is too late. As long as you breathe, there's time to make that transformation.
That's it. You nailed it. It's never too late. Obviously, the later you wait, the harder it gets. But at the same time, I'll just say this to land the plane with that topic. I've lived more in the last year and a half than I did the previous 35 years combined. So the message, 100%. So the message to the audience is it's never too late. And once you really decide that you're going to listen to the dream in your heart and pursue your dreams and make an impact and utilize your gifts, once you do that, the seas begin to part. And that's when you can really have a quantum leap and everything changes in an instant.
Oh, it does. It does. I can tell that also from my experience, but it requires something. And I would like you to tell to the audience what is essential when you are doing these kind of things and when you are channeling the business forward. What are your thoughts on this? Besides what you said already.
Just be very strategic. And look, it's never going to be the perfect time, just like it's never the perfect time to have a kid or get married or start a business. Show up messy. You just jump in the fire and then you figure things out. I can't tell you how many people I've seen and come across, specifically in the last year, that they just don't want to start. They want to read all this information, listen to these podcasts before they ever start. That's not how it works. You
so they just want to dream.
That's it. You dive in and then you figure things out. And there's no such thing as failure because it's just feedback. You figure out what doesn't work so that you can figure out what does work, and then you shift and you pivot. So I think the most important thing is showing up and just jumping in, and obviously being strategic about what you do and who you associate yourself with.
Right. And then the mentors and people who have some experience and knowledge in that topic where you're going to go
For sure.
will help you and guide you along the way. So you don't have to know how, you just have to start and do things.
That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
So from your point of view and from your experience, especially during the last year, which has been tremendous big leap for you and for people who've been following you and being with you on this ride, it's been a great thing. And it has given all of us lots of different lessons and gems along the way. So we've been learning from each other's. And that's what really is about having the right kind of people also around you. But what does it mean and what does it really require to have the right mindset? Besides the mentors and just starting and being strategic, but how can you do that?
People become addicted to their problems and their story. And I know this because I'm guilty of it myself. Like, people have a rough past, but for some reason they become addicted to that and to their problems.
Because
and
it
they
feels
have this,
familiar?
Maybe so. Or they're or the victim mentality. Yeah, the victim mentality, right? I can't tell you, like, that's the one thing I can't take is the victim mentality. Like, why me? Like, personally like to take accountability and responsibility for everything, even if it's probably not my fault. I just say, how could I have done a better job? Or why is this happening for me, not to me? Like when I got that tumor on my
There are
foot.
keywords. Yeah.
Yes. Like when I got that tumor on my foot a few months back, like the old Craig would have had much more of a pity party. But now, even though it's hard to connect the dots in the moment, it's much easier when you're looking back. I know that life happens for me and not to me. So in regards to the mindset, like I would highly suggest anybody listening to this right now is to update your identity. So you're not a victim of the past. You're not in a mental prison. You're not standing inside your story. You have the ability to stand on top of it, to own it. And look, I'll even add this. You can't change the past. So if you're having trouble letting it go, change your perspective on the past. Maybe there were lessons to be learned, and then utilize that to remove the shackles that are holding you back and move forward and update your identity.
Oh my gosh. That is, I have done that many times in my life. Updated my personality, updated my identity, and it's not an easy job. And it's definitely something what you said, you cannot do that alone. You just can't. The life isn't meant to be for us to be here alone, but to be with others and have joy in our lives. So what would you tell to me or to anyone to listening? What is the critical parts to pay attention to those thoughts when doing the transformation?
You just have to understand, early, like what I said earlier in the conversation, that this is backed by science. Nobody is exempt from the fact that over the course of your day, you have to combat 75% negative thoughts. So here's the best part, now that we know that. Thoughts are random, thinking is not. So what do I mean by that? That means that all the thoughts that come to your head that are negative, that might be random, but you have a choice strategically on which thoughts you want to allow to take up real estate in your mind. And once you know that, now all of a sudden, a bad week comes down to a bad day, and even better, now it's just a bad moment. Because anytime you're feeling bad, you become self-aware and just say, why am I feeling like this right now? It's because I have negative thoughts. As soon as you go back in there and get the negative ones out like an intruder in your house and put in the positive ones, immediately on the spot, you have new empowering beliefs. And that changes your whole state, frequency, and vibe, as they like to say. And then you can go on with your day in a much more enthusiastic and energetic manner. So the biggest thing with the mindset is being self-aware, that you get to control which thoughts you allow to take up real estate inside your mind.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. And Jem, do you think that people actually do that? Now, because you've been coaching so many people now, and you've been helping them to do the revamp and the transformation. Is it easy for people to do that, or are they willing to do that? Or what's the trick over there? How you get people to do that, actually?
So that's the $1 billion question, Hanne. It's like this. It's like, it's simple, but it's not easy. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? Like, if you understand what I'm saying, the concept is not rocket science. It's just practicing awareness and realizing that if you're feeling a little weird, very simple. Replace your thoughts with more positive ones. The problem is people hear me, but they're not listening. And then they get on fire for a little bit. They get some momentum. And then something with life happens and they get dejected and they forget their toolbox, that it's just their thoughts. But here's the thing. Look, just like if you want to look good, you have to eat right and work out. So if you want to stay mentally fit, like you got to sharpen the axe every single day. For me, it's easy because I made this my life. So like listening to audiobooks, podcasts, stuff like that, like not only do I love it, it's not work to me, but it's actually technically my job is to continue to accumulate knowledge so I could pour it back into the community like you and my family and so forth. But at the end of the day is you got to sharpen the axe. You have to stay mentally fit each and every single day. But I look at it as fun. It's a privilege to sharpen the axe. So I don't think it's a big deal. But you just have to acknowledge that you got to work on your mindset each and every single day, even if it's just 10 minutes to start the day.
I totally agree. So as you mentioned earlier, our mutual friend David Meltzer says that, lower the bar and just do it a few minutes a day. Do one thing at a time at first, and then add up to things that when you get a bit more familiar and a bit more comfortable doing the uncomfortable.
That's right.
So when person is struggling with these kind of things, but has the will, so there really is to pay attention to those thoughts and being selective what you go along with, and then sharpen the act, like learning new things. It's easy for me to learn different kind of things and just be around different places and meeting new people, because that's who I am. But for people who aren't the extroverts like I am, or so socially active, the shy ones, how they can do these kind of things?
Yeah. Look, just commit each and every single day. Just like you would work out, or just like you would eat food, all right? Or just like you would spend time with a loved one, allocate 10 to 15 minutes each morning. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's just a couple things that you're grateful for. Maybe it's listening to a CLS Experience podcast or yours.
Or channel business podcast.
Yeah, or yours, right? Or anything, but you just have to stay committed to it, just like it's a chore. And I use the word chore just so that you can to associate it with just becoming part of your regular routine. But it's really not a chore. It's actually a blessing. Like, you get to work on yourself. There's nothing better than that. So you just got to stay committed and be consistent.
There's the word, consistent and persistent, and being pursued to build your dream into reality.
That's it. That's exactly right.
That's right. Yeah. So I know something about you, and there goes the no, this is a good this is a good one, and this is something actually what we also share in common. James Bond. Tell me about James Bond and the meaning of him into your life.
Yeah, I thought you never asked, right?
No.
So when I got to Wall Street, I didn't have a ton of confidence, and I saw all these like brokers and people in finance making so much money, like hundreds of $1,000s a month. And I was a fish out of water. And I said, oh my goodness, like there's two ways I can go about this, right? I could have imposter syndrome and say, I'm not worthy of being here. Or I can work on myself and realize that I am worthy. And if these people are doing it, so can I. I just need experience. And so I went with the latter, and I started working on NLP, and I came across the term of modeling, which essentially, for the audience listening, this is a tangible tool that you can literally apply immediately. I would find 3 to 5 people that you hold in very high regard in life. It could be fictional, non-fictional. So for example, James Bond, fictional, non-fictional, maybe Tom Brady, Beyonce, whoever, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then on the right side of the page, just write a few attributes that they possess that make them great. And it's funny because
in your eyes,
yeah. When we were working together, probably a year ago now, we did this exact exercise, and I know it was a big breakthrough for you. So for me, with 007, when I think of that guy, Hanne, I think of confidence, swagger, being assertive. Like, that guy's not going to be scared to pick up the phone or talk to a client, or if somebody gives him a rebuttal on the phone, it's not going to ruin his day. He's just going to go into it. That guy is going to approach the pretty girl at the bar. He's not even going to think twice. That guy, the quality of his thoughts are empowering and productive.
They're very selective.
Correct.
And he has the courageous mind.
Yes.
To put into action, and that's something.
So I started modeling him, and then all of a sudden, like the non-confident Craig didn't exist because I committed to the process. And so I was absorbing James Bond's attributes and putting them on myself. Doesn't mean that I'm not Craig Siegel. At the end of the day, I'm still me. I'm just finding attributes that I like in him, and I would utilize them. It's no different than when Beyonce is on stage and she taps into this alter ego, Sasha Fierce. She goes nuts. She's one of the world's greatest performers. And then she comes off stage and she's Beyonce again. So I was utilizing this as James Bond at a time when I needed to build confidence, and it worked. I started to have a swagger. Everyone in Wall Street was like, who's this young kid? And it really worked. And I utilized some of those attributes to this day. And I still use the concept of modeling. It's a beautiful tool that anybody can use at any time.
Oh, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly. It's free, but it's priceless too.
Oh, it is. It is a lot. And I used to, back in the days before this pandemic time, I used to sit in a cafes and just, have a cup of tea or a cafe latte and just watch people passing by and just having a moment of just to be myself. And then at the same time, I noticed this, that I was looking at people and just seeing that, you know, how they walk, how they dress, how they talk to each others, or are they in a hurry or something. And I realized only later on that that was this modeling thing. And
That's
it
right.
really worked for me because I kind of borrowed something, you know, if I saw nice shoes, I was thinking, okay, I want to walk like that, or I want to have that kind of shoes as well. That fits into my picture of my future self, or the self that I want to be now. So
That's right.
it
Yeah.
really is that simple to do it. And you can do that anywhere.
Yeah. And then also it ties a little bit into like the law of attraction and the power of intention. Like
Yes.
if you're thinking about how that person would show up, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like you're, you know, it's an idea, so it becomes a possibility, but then you start taking action, so it becomes a probability, and you start working towards that. And that's a good frequency to be in as well.
Oh, it is. And then it comes to reality.
Bang, you nailed it.
Yeah. Because I think that is one of the most powerful tools that a person can change his or her mindset and then achieve those goals and things, really those dreams that all of us has.
That's right.
So then tell me something about the quantum leap.
Ah, so here's my quantum story, right? A few months back, I was at a big speaking engagement.
I remember that. You were a bit scared of going to the stage because you hadn't done that before.
That's right. And we were playing football on the beach with the boys, which is never a good idea. And I got injured and I came back. And the doctor said I had a sprained ligament. So he put me in a boot for a week or two. And I just felt very guided, and he called, and my intuition said, you should get an MRI. And so I facilitated an MRI, even though the doctor said it wasn't necessary. And he comes back, he calls me up the next week, and he's like, hey, Craig, can you please come in? I'm like, no, I can't. I'm a little busy. What do you got? Is it torn? They're like, actually, the ligament looks pretty good. But we found a tumor on the bottom of your foot.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it shook me up. I allowed myself about an hour of a pity party. And let me just be clear, like the old Craig, like that would have really rocked me to my core. But this new version of me understands that life happens for me and not to me. So although I didn't know the lessons right then and there, I knew that some good would come out of this. And to be honest with you, it ended up being one of the biggest blessings in disguise in my entire life. And I'll tell you why. I had always been skeptical of the law of attraction and the quantum stuff because it was beyond my senses. And it was hard for me to believe in the woo-woo stuff. But when I was sitting there after surgery, and by the way, the tumor came back benign, thank God. I was on crutches. I wasn't going to be able to make the Chicago Marathon.
And that was your big dream at the time. You really wanted to do that.
That's correct. And to be honest with you, I was talking about it like I'm going to shock the world. With a little bit of an ego in there. Let me be honest.
Yeah, there was.
Yes, for sure. And then I was sitting there journaling one day, and I said, if I'm ever going to buy into this quantum stuff and this spirituality and the law of attraction, this has to be the moment, because I'm sitting here on crutches and stitches in my foot. So I dove in, and boy, did I go down the rabbit hole. I reread The Secret with a different mindset. I befriended John Assaraf, had him on the podcast. And I can't get enough of this stuff, Hanne. Like, for the first time in my life, I understand vibrations and being a frequency. I understand that the person that's talking to you right now in this white V-neck with this scruffy beard, this 5'7" individual, it's just a vessel. It holds my soul and my spirit. And I am a soul and a spirit having a human experience. And when you realize that, there's literally infinite potential. There's nothing that you can't do. And I started to get really confident in my abilities and what I can accomplish. And so it occurred to me that everything happens for me, not to me. So maybe Chicago was off limits. But all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, they had the New York City Marathon. And I started to have an idea. What if we can run that, but not run it for me? Let's run it for my dad to inspire him because he's battling cancer, and also to raise money for American Cancer Society. Something much bigger than Craig. And I was
much bigger. Much bigger.
I was able to get to the start line. And everyone kept asking me, like, do you have any predictions? Like, do you think you'll be able to finish? And I just shut my mouth. I just said, no predictions. I'm just grateful for an opportunity. But in my head, I'm like, this quantum stuff is really starting to work for me. For the first time in my life, I'm experiencing real-time manifestations. Make a long story short, I was in another dimension.
Just have all the time because there's so many gems in this one. I love this story.
We ran the marathon, the fastest I ever ran in my entire life, with also a broken foot. Didn't feel that. But there were so many lessons to be learned there. So like, for example, shedding the ego, doing it for the right reasons, working within the ego. But also that opportunity was provided me space to dive into this quantum stuff and to realize that I'm a spirit and all this energy. And so although that story arc completed from tumor diagnosis to marathon finish, the real journey of life has now begun. And I've been in the quantum ever since. I just launched a mastermind that's going to start in March, which is called the Quantum Leap. I live in that space now for the first time in my life. Like I said, I'm experiencing real-time manifestations. I can't get enough of this stuff.
And you're totally on fire. You're just like unstoppable here. It's like, how do I hold you in this jar for a few moments to have this podcast? But I just love this. And the energy that you have nowadays, not that you didn't have it before.
Just different.
It is different. And like you said, that I can tell that because I've been there seeing you and working with you. It really made a difference in you. And it made you like, if I use word complete, in a sense, like it fulfilled you on these different edges. Like it really get your diamond to shine.
Yeah, I needed it. And
we all do need that.
God provided me this space because, you know, for me personally, I wasn't slowing down anytime soon. That tumor provided an opportunity to slow down for a minute and find the quantum and the law of attraction, and not a coincidence, in my opinion.
No. And I just can't help myself here saying that when you mentioned the law of attraction, there's also this law of Goya. Do you want to tell something about that to the audience?
I know Dave, our mutual friend Meltzer, he loves that stuff. Basically, the law of Goya is
I love that too, because there's like what you said earlier, the persistent consistency and all that really comes in action over there, I think. But tell us a little bit something about that.
The bottom line is this: you could utilize the power of intention and the law of attraction, all that stuff, but it won't work unless you put in the work, which is get off your ass, Goya. But I want to be clear, like what I learned recently is like you put out the intention and then you do the work and then you surrender and flow. So you marry the process, you divorce the outcome.
I love those words.
That's when the magic really begins to happen. But the law of attraction won't work by just sitting home and praying. You got to actually take action.
Oh, definitely. And I just love those words that what you said, that, you know, marry the process and put the outcome.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd love to ask you, Hanne, like, I'm curious, like, do you utilize the law of attraction, stuff like that? And what does it mean to you?
Oh, thanks for asking. I do. Yeah. So the law of attraction, it has been there for me and with me along the years, but there has been times when the ego got too powerful and then I didn't follow. And then what I noticed was that the things that I was doing, they didn't happen. It was a push and lots of hardships along the way. And I just felt that what the heck is going on, that I cannot do these things. I cannot accomplish these things. And it's so hard. So that was a few times in my life, those kind of situations when I had hit my head to the wall too many times. I became aware that, oh shit, put the ego aside and just listen to your inner self and the spirit and all this, what you've been saying, that pay attention to your thoughts and what you really want. So it is a big thing. And I've noticed in my life that when I'm in that right kind of spirit, in the frequency and paying attention to my energy, not taking it away, but putting and adding energy more, a good energy, then things just start to happen by itself.
Isn't that everything like a good energy and a good frequency?
Oh yeah. I think that's the key. And I think you just proved that by your story, what you told so far.
Yeah.
It really is that way. But that actually leads us to a few things that I wish to also ask and let the audience know your point of view on this. The meaning of a vision and adjustment along the way.
A vision and adjustments?
Yeah. You mentioned something about that, but let's talk about more the vision.
You know what I love about you, besides the many thousands of things? You're challenging me today, and I appreciate that. I like to be challenged. That's what makes a compelling conversation, straight up. So I want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
The power of a vision. I'm a visionary, and I just have a big dream, and I have a vision, and the way I see it playing out. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been so successful with CLS is because I have a plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can't hit a target that you can't see.
Oh, definitely not.
Yes. So I think having a vision is key to success because that's how you utilize the power of intention. And then being able to make adjustments along the way, because spoiler alert, life will never go 100% according to plan.
Like you're a tumor in the beach football.
That's exactly right. I thought I was running Chicago, ended up running New York with after surgery, best time I ever ran. So you have to be able to surrender and flow and make adjustments on the fly and always keep the mindset that life happens for you and not to you. This way, when you have to make adjustments, it's not crippling. You just realize that it's just a little bit of a pivot. You can actually get excited about it.
Exactly. And it can actually take you much faster to your destination, but it's just a winding road, maybe.
That's correct.
A path that you didn't even maybe figure out or didn't have in your map. And I love something what you've said. And I think that you've written it somewhere also that a person's world, it's not broken, but it can be reframed or something like that. How does it go?
So nobody's broken, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the frame at which we see the world can be corrupted. And essentially, we can change our perspective or alter our frame, and then we can create a new reality for ourselves. So for example, like I was saying yesterday in the membership call, people don't have a business problem. They don't have a money problem. Like I can't make money. They have a you problem. It's something in your mindset that needs to be tweaked. What are you not doing that could be done a little bit more effectively? Or what actions are you not taking? Or why do you believe you can only go so far? And once you fix that, the money will come. So it's not a money problem. It's an us problem. And when we change our frame and perspective, then all of a sudden we can kind of correct ship. And then, whatever it might be that we're looking for, whether it be money, marathons, relationships, they'll flow to you.
So this is really the transformation. That's how it's done, people. That's how it's done. So go and listen to that again, rewind a little bit and then come back.
Correct.
Yeah. So tell us something about the procrastination and the fear. What does it do to a person? Like you mentioned something a little bit, but the difference between men and women that you've noticed, I'm pretty sure that there is a little difference in that procrastination and fear, how we face it.
I don't know if I've noticed the difference. I think it's a case by case. A lot of people deal with procrastination. I think it's because either they're not super enthusiastic or they don't have clarity on what they want to do. And as a result of procrastinating, or sometimes there's fear like unworthiness or what if I don't succeed or, what are people going to think of me or what if I fail? I think fear is actually a good thing because that's learning to work within the ego, right? Like, for example, you mentioned earlier on in the conversation, before my first big speaking engagement where I was going to be on stage pretty early on into my new career or reinvention.
It was,
I felt a little bit of fear, not like I'm not going to do it, but that was a good thing because that was my ego letting me know that this is a big deal. You should take it seriously and put in the work.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have any fear on my first one, that would be egotistical. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is I think fear is misconstrued. I think it could be a good, like, for example, when I run marathons the night before, even though I know I could do it, I still have that feeling, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's a good feeling. I think we need to lean into that because usually when you go through fear is where the major growth happens on the other side. And in regards to procrastination, I think most people are just looking for some clarity. And once you have that, trust me, you won't procrastinate because you'll be excited.
Oh, yeah. And you're a really good example of that. You just go towards your fear and go beyond that.
That's it. Yeah,
so
100%.
Just have to go. Right.
That's
just
it.
Have to do.
That's it.
And seek people for help. I think that's also a big thing that you find the mentors, people who are there, who are somehow like you, not too much alike, but something who you can challenge. And
you know what? I never articulated what I'm about to say like this, but based on what you just said, I think the most egotistical thing that we can have or do or think is that we could do everything ourselves.
That's a trap.
How's that for a reframe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something new from your lips, I would say.
Yeah, that
It
is new.
really is. And it is such a good thing to say, because I think lots of people are having fear or procrastination or different kind of thoughts.
Yeah, that's some pretty deep stuff. I'm actually going to write that down.
Do it.
That's some gold right there. And I think that's very important for everyone else to hear.
It is. And you can tell that again.
I will.
So this is really something that what we are facing here at this moment, that, when you have people in your network, you just have to find them from different phases of life and different areas of life, and find your tribe. It may take some time and it may be hard, but once you find them, the people really lift you up. They support you and push you forward and help you just achieve your goals.
That's it.
I think that's amazing. So tell us again what you've written down.
Oh, so I basically wrote the most egotistical belief that we can ever have is to think we can do everything ourselves.
Oh yeah, I love
Craig
that.
Siegel original, inspired by Hanne.
Yes.
that was awesome. No, seriously, straight up, that's gold right there.
It is, and I think that is, from my point of view, that is one. Well, there are lots of things, but that is really one essential thing when you are channeling business forward, and to go, forward in your life itself, that you cannot do and you shouldn't do things all by yourself, because we all need people. Yeah, I love telling stories about the Robinson Crusoe. When he was in the island all by himself, and even the movie shows that how he missed people, having like-minded people around him, and he had this old volleyball over there and just painted the face over there and was talking to him or her, and that just proves it, that we need people, so don't be by yourself.
That's absolutely correct. That's why I formed the CLS community, which is really a family. And the best compliment I get from everyone with that is like, you don't even have to be around, and everyone's just interacting and supporting each other. And that was the vision. So it's just such a beautiful thing. And I know you've connected with so many people in there. I'm sure you've formed some unbelievable connections and friendships, and it's going to keep growing. And that's what it's all about. It
is. And there's that actually answers to my next question, that why anyone should have people around, like-minded people, mentors or coaches, like sport world uses those coaches and really the support system a lot. But in the business, we don't use it that much until nowadays, more and more. So,
correct. Yeah.
So there we go. So you just can't do things all by yourself. And I think one of the things is that because we don't have the time or the skills to do that, we really need the support system. And I love the African proverb that goes something like this, that, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And
love that quote.
I love that.
I always love that. It really resonates.
Yeah, with me too. It's one of the best things that, one of the lessons in my life that I've learned. Okay.
For sure.
To closing to this talk with you, couple of questions. What's the next thing that you wish to level up in your life?
Ooh, it's a good question. I suppose the answer is more speaking engagements, although they're happening right now. And I'm very grateful. I'm traveling to Atlanta next week. So it is all happening. But I really want to improve and continue to get better and be able to make such a great impact from the stage, because on the stage, I have the ability to speak to so many people in a live room. And there's just something different about the transfer of energy when you're live.
It is.
So look, the podcast exploding, the membership, the masterminds, all that stuff, the keynote speaking, which is taking off, I say very humbly, but I just want to continue to get better and improve and to become the very best in the world, or the best that I could be, at least.
Well, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. And I think there's a room for you. Yeah, for what I've seen in this one, but and with your personality, that even though you said it's very shy, and it still is a little bit, but you get really the explosion happening when you are in person with people. So yeah, I think that's a good thing, and that's something really excited to see you on stage.
Yeah.
In live.
And I can't wait to see you in person soon.
Oh,
Just
me
wanted to say
neither.
that.
Me neither. But
I
this
know
is
it'll
something.
happen.
Yeah, it will, and this is something that is actually really funny, but also brings me down to the quantum leap, what we talked about a bit earlier. Today's world, the technology is helping us so much to do the breakthroughs, but also to find the tribe and just go forward with our dreams and put them into reality.
Yeah.
So I think that is amazing, and it makes everything so much easier. Of course, you need to make the transformation over there, but then you use the mindset.
That's it.
Why people should take a little time to stop and think what's really going on is in their life?
You know, that's a great question too. And that's what I did for the first time ever in the beginning of the pandemic. When I shut down my office on Wall Street, I saw a lot of people doing a lot of Netflix and a lot of day drinking. I said, that's not going to be me. And I'd always felt guided, as you know, but I actually took a second to just reassess and to
Just a
ground
second.
myself. Probably a couple weeks, but just to ask myself the deep, powerful questions. Something very powerful about a good question. I ask myself, am I happy? Right? Or
what do you really want?
What do I really want? Or why am I here? What is my purpose? All that stuff.
Really deep questions.
Yeah.
Really big questions, not easy answer.
No, really big, like thought-provoking questions that really made me think.
And the mindset, NLP and all that things,
it all
they
came
helped
into
you?
play. Of course, I utilized all my strategies and my sharpening the axe and all my tools in my toolbox. But ultimately, like for anyone listening, like you asked the question, I think everybody should ground themselves to whether it's meditating or whatever it is that your process is, but really take a second to ask yourself the tough, powerful, challenging questions. This way, you can get clarity on how you want to show up and who you want to become for the rest of your life.
And there's that.
Bang.
Bang, there's that. I think that is just so important in life, that the life goes on and lots of things are happening, but every now and then you should sit down and just write down things and see where you want to go, see what the vision is and how you can apply to that to become a reality.
That's correct. 100%. You got to take some time. Sometimes you just take a short step back to take a quantum leap forward. That's something that I learned 2 times, right? On the Wall Street, which the pandemic provided me an opportunity to reassess. And then when I was going 100 miles an hour with CLS, the tumor, both situations provided me an unexpected opportunity to ground myself. And they both turned out to be quantum leaps for me.
So they once, even that you had to stop for unexpected ways and reasons, and you couldn't just go forward the way that you thought that you would go. You took a couple of steps back, and then you took really big swing to the forward.
That's correct.
So that's what we need to pay attention also, just to sit down and whatever that is, like you said, meditate or something. Okay.
That's it.
Last but not least, when people are seeking something to do with the mindset and they want to do the transformation, where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Craig_CLS. Anywhere you listen to the podcast, the CLS Experience, record-breaking show. But ultimately, the website, cultivateLastingSymphony.com, where you can find out how to join the CLS membership, the masterminds, one-on-one coachings, all the things. And if you're in the U.S. and you love daily inspiration, text me at 917-634-3796. Bottom line, come say hello. I love to connect, and I love to spread positive vibes and energy.
And you do that. You do that. And I hope the listeners have gotten all the same energy here that what we've been seeing now face-to-face, virtually here, but also through the podcast very soon. So I hope you got the energy. And
this conversation was awesome. Like I said earlier, you challenged me in ways that no one ever has in terms of specific questions. I know the audience is going to be better for it. And straight up, I'm better for it. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining me today and just bringing people these gems that you've learned and the things that they can do, really the tools and the tips. Because I think that those things that we share, what we experience is really, really important for others to know. And that's my way of showing up in this world, to share the network and share the lessons learned with anyone that we come across, because that's the way that we can build a better future and a better world.
That's it. Is to just spread positivity and help people understand that there's a choice. And
Yes.
what I mean by that is there's a choice to work on ourselves and to listen
Exactly.
to the dream in our heart and to raise that value and so forth and step into our powers. Each and every single one of us have a gift.
Oh, yes. And we should just, lighten that and just sharpen the axe, as you said.
That's it.
There we go. Well, thank you, Gret, so much for being part of this podcast and just sharing your wisdom and
thank
the
you
energy.
for having me. And thank you for being you. So much love and respect. The best part about you and I, it's just the beginning of the friendship in all reality. I know we've been, really close for about a year, but we have so much time together, and I can't wait to give you a big fat bear hug in person sooner than later.
Oh, yes. I definitely agree on that. So I want to thank you so much for today's talk, and I hope the people find the gems that what I found here and you've been reminding me. So I want to wish you a very good day. It's going to turn evening here where I'm in Finland and you are there in New York in the Big Apple. So you have a great day. And thank you. And I want to thank for our listeners today to coming along and being part of this show, and hope you can grab the right, very, very specific gems from this conversation to be part of your daily life. So humble thanks to you, Greg, and humble thanks to the audience.